it's Jane Davenport. But if you're on my channel, hopefully you know that I am Jane. And I'm doing a Facebook Live on, well, it's always a little bit unplanned, and the whole thing with Facebook Live is, oh, hello, Hayley. The whole thing with Facebook Live is that it is unplanned. It's a little bit more rambly. When I do a normal video, you know, I edit it and have music and, you know, can, it's, well, just edited, but this is just as it comes. So let's see what happens. But I've put out some things on my table that I want to play with that I haven't shown you yet. Oh, look at all the hellos. Oh, you guys. Now, I just want to say, I think on one of the, either the last one or the one before, just some random person came on and, well, we're all random people really, but they were swearing and just trying to get a reaction. So because I'm working, like I'm drawing and stuff, I'm not seeing the feed all the time. So if you have questions, make sure to ask them in the comments section so that I can answer them. And if someone gets on there and misbehaves, just ignore them. And they'll go and find something else to do, okay? Hello, yes, to everyone and all the dumb peeps. Oh, I like seeing all the hellos. Anyway. So I've got some stuff out that I want to play with, but let's just see what happens because there's so many new things coming out. So I'm going to swing the camera around. I'm trying to only film parts of the studio that aren't too messy. Okay. And then I'm just going to get the camera on my little stand here. So of course I tried to work out everything before I went live, but it all looks a bit different. Oh no, hang on, sorry. Oh, I don't think I can flip the camera around, can I? Whatever, I'll just move the tripod thing. I can move this. Okay. I was organised before I came on, I promise. But I can go with the flow if nothing else. Okay, so what I've got here, these are two of my pastel sets that I have. And they're different to each other. That's why I just wanted to show them. Super excited about them. These are the aqua pastels. These are the power pastels. So the easy way to remember is she looks sort of electrified and she is more serene like water. Well, water isn't always serene. Anyway. The aqua pastels you add water to. You can use the top palette up here because it's flat as a mixing palette if you wanted to, or I think it's magnetic. I think I already tested that. I do have a magnet here somewhere. So you can always pin things on there. I've got little here it is. Yeah, totally magnetic. This is the same thing, this beautiful tray here as well. So you could put a swatch card or something on there. Use it as a reference, a little colour wheel. Sometimes I've usually got my little colour wheel here if you are working. So you've got that space. You could also put your watercolours. Some people have reused their tins for other things, but they're really to house the pastels. So if you do any of my workshops, you know that I always say get things out of the tins so that you've got them right in front of you. But for pastels, and for crayons and these sort of more delicate-ish things, I think it's perfectly fine to let them live in their little houses. So just pop them to one side, but I'll leave them open actually. And I just wanted to show you the differences. And these are the new ones that I don't think I've shown you at all yet. So just to tell you a little bit about them, they're power pastels, they're smudging crayons. Woo! So they're a wax and oil-based crayon. They've got a really nice formulation so that you can get the two things out of them. I'm just twisting them to the names. And the reason they're called power crayons is because, well, they're just powerfully fun, I say. So the names of them, let's swatch them out, actually. Let's swatch them out. But we might, yes, we might have a look in. This is one of my journals, just so you know everything that I'm doing as I'm going. This is some of the work that I've done with the new power pastels and watercolor. because they go nicely with watercolor because they don't move, they don't smudge with water, but they do smudge with themselves. So let's open this up and talk about the names, because I have so much fun naming things. Let's put, how cute, how totally cute are the tins. So Jenna at American Crafts, she makes all the tins happen and gets, you know, all the packaging of everything. So we all talk about it and work out what we want, but she is the one that does the technical part. So this first color, I'm gonna swatch it out, is called Nuclear. Really nice, bright, zingy lemon yellow. This is Solar Panel. So I picked names that were all energy names to do with energy. Originally, I picked out names that had natural, like tornado, hurricane, flood, blah, 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 that sort of power of the earth. And then that didn't feel so great when there actually started to be natural disasters. So I didn't like that as an idea anymore. This is Electron. So I think this type of power is far better. This is Thermal. Really nice red. So what I'll show you, so if you leave it with crayons, with pastels like this, pastel is just a fancy name for crayon. So I use the two words interchangeably. But if I say crayon, sometimes you think more of something for children. But the beautiful thing about this sort of crayon is that thick laydown that you can get, or you can have it thin and open. And, you know, it just doesn't take much effort to get really nice thick application. This is Voltage. So I've got all of the warm colors are here up the top. How nice is that? This is Kinetic. Sort of a peachy soft pink. This is Atom. So these sorts of colors we can start using as bases for skin tones, of course. This is Particle. All of our neutrals, and this is Fossil Fuel. Oh, I love this color. So it's like a really grey brown. And then on the bottom line here, we've got the cool color. So I might start a whole new line down here. This is Windmill. Now, this might be boring for some people. For me, doing it, it's awesome. And I love watching people do swatches. So that was Kilowatt. This is Hydropower. Oh, look at this beautiful indigo. If I get it in thick. Excuse me. It's so beautiful. This is Biomass. We've got a few more of the alternative energies in the green section. This is Sonic Boom. This is Turbine. Oh, that color. Yum! This is Total Eclipse, which isn't really a form of energy, but yeah, I think you will get the idea. This one is Gravity. And this one, which you won't be able to see, is Lightning Bolt, but it's white. There we go. We can see Lightning Bolt doing a little bolt of lightning on everything. And this one is the blender, so it's clear. So you won't be able to see anything. The only way for me to show you this is to use it for resist techniques. So this one we can use as resist, or as it says, as the blender. Now, I'll show you what I tend to do, even though I'm the one naming it and doing these things. And I do the same thing with colored pencils. I don't tend to use the colorless blender for blending. I tend to use the white. And I tend to use the blender for resist techniques because it's clear. And that is a lot of fun. So what I've done over here is I've already started a little bit of a girl here. This has got the wax, the Power Pastels underneath. I've painted over it with acrylic paint on the top. And then I can add other things as well. But because it is a waxy and oily top. It's not as easy to, like you wouldn't use a pen on it, it would clog the pen. So that's those colours. And then these ones I've already swatched out. So these are the aqua pastels. So I've got these beautiful colours over here. And then this is Lauren-san, which is this beautiful peachy colour. Gauguin. So I'm just starting to draw some little people on here. Dali, Cézanne, Frida, Ingres, Michelangelo, Van Gogh, Botticelli, Da Vinci, Toulouse-Lautrec, and Monet. And then on each of the little wrappers is a little bit of fan art, I guess, from myself. And it's fun. Okay, so I'm going to use these two things. Let's get creating. Oh my gosh. I sort of get a bit like overexcited / nervous whenever I have to do a live thing because things could go terribly wrong. What if I draw something terrible and everybody's watching? But I just have to trust that isn't going to happen, and that even if it does, well, that's just life, isn't it? So I think I might start with, like I've started this little one down here, I might start with a, guess what, a face. So I'm going to start off with the lighter colour, and I can always make it a little bit darker. Now the paper pad that I've got here has this is the textured side of the paper. So with my journals, one side of the paper is smooth and one side of the paper is textured, so that you've got the hot press and the cold press. Oh, good, Kerry's here, so she can answer questions. Kerry is my trusty helper, my friend. So I've just put down this light colour just as a base. I can darken it up if I want to. I can actually make it lighter as well. But I'm going to add a little bit of this pink. So this is Voltage, just in that cheek area. So it's just going to be loose. And if you know my work, you know that I love keeping things loose and free, because I believe everything's forgiven in a sketch. And if I keep them, it's just my personal belief, and if I keep things just loose and free, it doesn't engage that heavy critical part of not just my mind but other people's minds as well. So if things are a little bit askew, the necks are too long, the hair is flying in it, people understand that it's whimsical, that it's illustrative, and it's not I'm not trying to draw from reality, so they don't need to correct me. It just takes pressure off everyone. I'm actually just loosely putting in a bit of a neck as well. That's just way too wide. But I love just the feeling of a crayon. I contributed to a book. It's called The Art of Crayon by Lorraine Bell. And this I said in the book as well. It's just, I love crayons because they make you feel like a kid. Totally like a kid. So I'm going to put those in. Get this little cheekies going. And I might get one of these darker colours just around here, just to help define the chin a little. And if you're new to my videos, I teach people how to draw faces. I have a book called Drawing and Painting Beautiful Faces. You can see on Amazon. Now, you can use the clear blender to blend your colours together, like so, and you get like an oil paint kind of effect, you know, that smudging of oil paint. But I also love blending with the white. And I think that's a really nice look. So I usually try and start off a bit darker than how I want to end up. And if I wanted to do a darker skin tone, let's have a practice. This is very dark. This is Fossil Fuel. I'm just going to put this. Oh, it's so fun! Like there's so much pigment, and I would use this to blend. so that I get a lighter skin tone. I might add a little bit of particle in there as well, just to get a bit of a warmer tone down there. And then I can start getting all of my nice darker skin tones as well. So the same principles apply. I'll just give her a little bit of a pink cheeks, smudge it with my finger. Once you get a bit of a layer up going, then you can smudge with your finger as well. And I'm going to, there's no purple in this set for technical reasons, but we can mix a purple with red and blue, and coming over with the white. Oh man, this is fun. Okay. So I've drawn this a little, like quite large so that you can see it. But this is a really great medium to just warm up with. Oh, I love the way that looks. But I'll just come over it and just help incorporate that in a little. And I love all the looseness of this, so I'm gonna roll with that. But let's see this in action, because I showed you it as a smudger, but let's see it also as the resist. So I'm going to come over this with paint later, but I'm going to put this, I'm going to draw in her hair. Now you're not going to be able to see what I create, but you're going to see where I am drawing it from. So again, it's just a very freeing way of creating, because I can't be perfect because I can't really see what I'm doing. So there's just no point in even worrying about doing it right, air quote. So I've got those there. So that will come into play later. And if I want to add detail, I can do it with this, but this is a fairly blunt instrument. What might be a nicer way to add detail is I might use these. I could use colored pencil, but that's not going to, it's going to, see how it's chopping off my nice waxy paint. And this also sets, it dries out. Excuse me. Oh, I'm all overexcited and I have to drink some water. Hang on. So I'm going to use these, the aqua pastels, to just get a little bit more detail on, because they will, I can draw on the power pastels, but then these have another little trick up their sleeve. So then I might change to, so that colour was Michelangelo, and I've had the privilege, the luck, to see some Michelangelo paintings at the Uffizi and the Botticellis. Oh, now it's because I've got so much wax under here, there's just nothing for this to grab onto, so I'm just having to sort of grind that in a little. So that'll be interesting to see what I come up with here. But this is a fun way to create. So I'm just going to pop a little bit of this on as well. Now, if I can just leave this as a crayon, and I have different colours in this set and this set. So you can just, don't worry about any of their other properties other than they're just soft pencils. And then you can leave it at that. Or you can add water to these and get them to move, and you can smudgeify those ones. And what I might also do now, because I can't use pen on this wax, like I wouldn't use pen on any like crayon, because it will clog my pen up. So I already know not to try. But what I might use is some paint. So this is one of the little, I'll just show you. So this is from my new collection. It's the mixing palette sheets. There's two different types in there. There's a face one, and then there's also the color wheel. You can also use the back or the front, doesn't matter. And there it's just a special type of paper so that you can use them as a paint palette. Now that paint should be still wet enough, so I'm using the ink colour from the Jane's Favourites. And then this, like I've done down here, this actually paints on the surface pretty well. Now this isn't something, you're not meant to go thin, which is acrylic, over fat, which is the pastels. It'll chip off. But in this application, I do believe that is true. But for what I'm doing, it's fine. And if it chips off a little bit, so much the better. So I'm just adding in a little bit of detail for the eyes. The other thing that works, but I wouldn't do it on a thick application, is some of the paint over pens. So I'm going to this is the new colour, Barley Blue. Just going to pop that on. So these work really well over the crayons. Just if you notice that if the crayon like really sticks to the tip, I would just clean your pen off before you put it back to bed like that. I'm going to use the unicorn just to add just a little bit of white to the eye. So I'm probably going to have to come in, just let that dry and then do another little coat. I'm going to add a little bit of coral. Oh, actually no, starfish. Just do little tear ducts. And I've got my new glitzy markers. Now these are still coming into my store, but they have started to arrive in Michael's stores. I have seen some people starting to post these. These are super glittery markers. They're fantastic. So I might add a little bit of that green to her eyes. So I'll show you. Look how beautiful and glittery they are. Just, as a little bit of a special effect. Does it work on the thing? Oh yeah. But I'm actually putting it on the paint and on the paint over pen. And again, if you think you've got a build up of paint or anything else, which I did on there, I would just give that a little clean before you go to bed. Put it to bed rather. Not before you go to bed each night, that would be unnecessary. And what else can I add? I'm kind of enjoying myself here. I might add a little bit of jellyfish. Just this will give that little shadow under the eye. And I might use this glittery one like a bit of eyeshadow. And I could smudge it a bit. I haven't tried mermaid markers because I just assumed that they wouldn't work on this. And I'm assuming I'm pretty correct. Oh, so this is Black Hole from the... Oh, no, they do. Mind you, I am on the paint over pen and stuff. See, I'm learning with you. I would have thought these beaded up. They do. We'll wait and see how long they take to dry. Because technically, that shouldn't work. I'm very happy if it does, though. This is why, if you hear rules, you should never completely obey them. You should always do your own tests because you just don't know if whatever you're doing might be the exception to the rule, right? So I'm just going to do this eyebrow. So with eyebrows, I want to break the shape over this side. Yeah, no, it's struggling over that. But Black Hole, maybe because this is the metallic one, it's going on that just fine. So this is from the metallic set. They're amazing, those metallics. They do the weirdest things. I'm completely, madly in love with them. Okay, now we want to do some hair I could keep going with details. I might just give a little bit of, ooh. She has a beauty mark now. I wonder if because I'm on the wax, if I can just get that off easily. That has to happen at least once every time I teach. Spilling something. Oh, there we go. It disappeared. Gone. Just going to add a little bit more. Oh, make sure your things are clear before you start blending, or you just end up with a purple moustache. And do you know what? Every time something like that, this sort of thing happens, and I think in my brain, oh, I should have just left it alone. I always come up with a different solution and it ends up better. So I've just learnt to roll with things over time. I mean, there might always be a time when it doesn't end up better. So I'm just wiping that off just to make sure. And then just getting that little curve of her lips. So the darkest parts of the face are the lash line. Oh wow, she's really got very cat eyes. The lash line, the nostrils, of course, and the lips, especially the line in between the lips. That's quite a dark little space that you can add volume. So I'm using just a bit of paper towel. Just doing a bit of a clean off because I've got stuff everywhere. And having a bit of a wonderful time here. I'm going to use one of my new brushes. And let's get out my watercolor. Let's do one of the new. So this is the new watercolor set, the glitzy set, because it's mermaid sea colors with a little bit of glitz. So it's the glitzy. Nothing to do with Honey Boo Boo and her pig called Glitzy, although I did like her a lot. So I was thinking blue hair, but as soon as I open up this palette, I saw the Ariel, and this is just my favorite paint at the moment because look at this. It's this beautiful color. And it's so rich and intense. So now she has red hair. You just have to go with your intuition some days, don't you? And remember, this is the Resist that I did before. So with hair, what I do is I say pretend. You pretend to be the hair. So you are the hair. So you start where the hair starts growing. So if I'm going to start here, I don't let go until I'm at the end of the hair, so that my lines stay flowing. I try to undulate the lines, which is this soft flowing and bending, and usually the less is better. Now I'm going to have to start mixing. Oh my gosh, I'm having a conniption over the colour. Just, it has that strong red, but then it also has that pinky, it goes out into pink as well. And that white little stripes are the blender that at the very, very beginning. So I can come right up to the cheek and it won't move because the mermaid marker might move because that might not be dry yet. So I would assume that will bleed a little bit, but that coming over here could be really quite good. And I love how this is puddling. I wonder if I bring this out a bit more, they'll get that resist line. Oh, isn't she rather tempestuous? I think I might actually drop in some of this orange. So I'm going to make her a little bit of a gingerella. Just warm that up, and I could even add in a little bit of the tresses. These are all mermaid names. They're all names that are associated with mermaids or are the names of mermaids in different languages, different cultures. So the names are Water Spirit, Sylph, Nereid, Ariel, Frolicsome, Tresses, Sea Nymph, Enchantress, Lorelei, Sea Mist, Flirtatious, and Alchemy. So the trick with when I name colours is I have to put something down here because I'm just spilling water all over my swatches. Is they also have to be short so they fit on everything. So it's quite the challenge and I love it. I was telling the story when I was at school and I went to see my school guidance counsellor and they asked, you know, what jobs do you want to be? I always was going to be zookeeper because I love animals, but my grades just weren't good enough. You had to be able to do vet studies and I was like, what about just feed the animals? No. Anyway, I couldn't be a vet. Wasn't smart enough to be a vet, so I decided I wanted to name colours. And again, my school guidance counsellor was like, oh, Jane, that's not a name. I mean, that's not a job. And I disagree. It is. So I'm doing it now. Stick to your dreams, kids. Stick to your dreams. Okay, now what colour am I going to put around here? I think I might stick with watercolour. And I'm feeling the pull of Neride. I'm going to do a bit of watercolour. Oh, what I should be using. I should get these in there. Oh, I'm having fun with these. I don't have to do anything. I can just do what I want. Oh, look at the colours mixing. And because these are two quite pigmented, powerful colours, they have a clash of the titans. Sometimes this will win and sometimes the other one will win. It just depends on who's turned up a bit stronger. And I actually love how this is morphing and doing a bit of a wiggly woo-woo there. Let's make it do another wiggly woo-woo. The thing to watch out for is sometimes you get something happening and you're like, whoa, that's amazing. I'm going to do that everywhere. And then you start doing the same thing. And then what that made that so special kind of gets lost because it's everywhere. So it's just a little thing to remember. And because I'm letting this one really blend, so I might force a blend there, put them on top of each other, because that's the turned away side. So that's the darker side. I might even put this other slightly not as strong blue, but it's still a nice dark blue. I might put that on there just to say, okay, so this is going back into shadow because I'm going to push this back a bit into the paper. And this side I might keep as straight as lines because this is coming forward. So I'm letting that blur back a bit in the background and I'm letting this be stronger in the foreground. And one of my favorite things about my journals is I have all the time these little people and random eyes and things popping up all over the place because I'm teaching a lot and I'm showing people, demonstrating, doing little things. So I get little faces that have got nothing to do with the page and they end up being, I don't know, like little spirits or little versions of self. That's why they're just little helpers that are sitting there on the page. And then I have to somehow incorporate them or not. It's a journal, so it doesn't matter. So here's another nice thing that happens with when I'm using the Power Pastels is when I come over with the watercolour, it resists, of course. It doesn't want to sit on there except for where there's a break in it. So, for instance, because I've used this paper that has the texture, the watercolor's only going in where the pastel isn't. So it's a resist as well. And this is the whole reason I wanted to do a live video. It was just for that moment. It ended up being about this moment, but it's this stuff because I couldn't paint that. Like if I sat down to try and actually paint it, I couldn't get it to happen. But I love the look of it when it randomly happens. Now I'm just going to make a little paper towel finger and I'm going to just clean away some of the little droplets that are just sitting on top. So then this really like pops out, whereas that was just a little thing that was sinking in the background. And I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm just going to pull off these little droplets that just really, they won't dry. There's nothing for them to stick to. But if I just I wonder if I could bring that up closer to the camera. Before I do that though, I'll just get my little paper finger on these as well, because the watercolor will just go flying into the crack there, the gutter of the paper, and I don't want a soggy gutter. So can you see how the watercolor goes in between the crayon? It makes my eyes go crazy with delight. I love it. So if I wanted to, I could add more colour into the face like that, and it would totally change how things are going to look. But I can't predict exactly what's going to happen, because these are unpredictable times. These are unpredictable things. Now, the two metallics that are in this watercolour set, they take a little bit longer to activate. All metallic watercolours usually do. They just take a little. So usually before I start painting, if I think I'm going to use them, I put a bit of water on them before I get going, so that by the time I get to use them, they're ready to go. But I will just tell you, Flirtatious, which is this sort of rose gold coppery colour, before it's really activated, oh, I've got too much blue water in my water bowl. Before it really activates, it's a very sheer bronze, and it's beautiful for suntans. Just a little bit of shimmery summer skin, and you can use that before it really activates and gets into a stronger colour. Sorry, I just had to change water over because that was just not nice. So I'll just show you. So it's quite sheer at the moment, but once that gets rolling, and the gold as well, but so it starts off quite sheer, but once it gets activated, it's a lot stronger. So I might use it as that sheer colour in amongst my Power Pastel here. Might even use a bit of this Water Nymph just to give a little bit of colour to her body, just so she's not fading off into nothing. And then I can come along here and I get quite a nice little subtle effect. Oh, at some point I've dropped a bit of watercolour on her face. I quite like that though. I might grab, this is from my Brights palette. So I've got all of my tools sitting in front of me there. I had the setup showed how I've got it set up in one of my other videos. Oh, this is the one. They are not in the right order, and that was tricking me. I just want to put a little bit of the purple in here, just to bring some of the purple that's down there into here. And I might get brave. I've put the pastel on quite thickly there, so that's not really going to do much, but up here it will, because it can actually get to the paper. Again, in here it's just going to be in little, it'll only be going in the little cracks in the spaces in between the crayon. So the more thickly I apply, the less the watercolour will be able to get in there. But I can get it in just enough, and I'll show you how cool it looks. So then I need to come along with this. Don't want to rub it off the actual paper, and because it won't dry, so it's got those nice little beads, but that won't ever, it'll sort of dry, but that's not what I'm after. I just want these little hints of the purple, these little subtle hints. Oh my goodness me. And for some reason, now that I've done that, now I'm noticing that, like it's pulling my eye there, and my eye wants to be pulled there. It wants to be pulled over to have a look at that, because that is really cool. So I'm actually totally loving this lady, and I just have to put a little bit of yellow on her. Just hang on. Sometimes you just have to listen to your intuition if it's telling you a thing. That ink is very shiny and I'm going to smudge it. So I'm just taking the excess of that paint off. So did you notice I tested it first to see if it would pull everything off? It was fine. It just took off the really wet stuff that was sitting right up on the top, which I just didn't want. So I've got this warm yellow. Is this warm and it's dry enough? Yeah. I'm going to put a bit of yellow. Oh, I love what it just did there. It just chomped on the watercolor and squidged it out. It did nice things. And I've got this line here I don't need. So just make sure that's clean because I'm just going to put that on her face. I'm just going to add a little tiny hint of yellow. And I do this a lot with my girls, little secret tip. And you don't notice it. It just makes everything look more vibrant because it bounces off with that. So I've got a bit of work to do still on the eyes. Like the eyes aren't really where I want to finish up. But I'm just adding a little bit of black. And I might do a little bit of orange even. Just a few like little loose lines, but in the red or pink even. I might do a few strays outside of the watercolor going into the background and crossing over these little things so we get this whirling inferno feeling of her hair. Oh, I quite like her. And we can give her a little loose little dress. All I need to do to indicate that is I'm just rubbing the crayon just so she's got something on. And also that helps finish. It just sort of balances it up. If I just leave it loose down, that's unfinished. It just doesn't. I don't know. She just needed a dress. She needed to put some clothes on because she was about to go and stun everybody. I totally use all my own stuff all the time by choice because I loves it. But there are a couple of things that I can't live without, and one of them is the white Sharpie. And oh, is this guy working? No, I don't think he is working. Oh, here we go. Now I've got to remember not to put that one back in with, there we go, with my working one. So this is the white Sharpie paint pen. It's the water-based one, the poster one. So if you have a look on my store, even if you don't buy things from my store, I've got all the information there, all the stuff that I use, everything that I've shown you. We send stuff all around the world all the time, every single day. But even if you don't buy, what I'm trying to say is you can still use it as a resource, right? To find other things. So I'm just adding that little bit of detail. And the reason I use this and this is my ones are designed to be a little bit sheerer than this. This is quite opaque, but this one I build up. So if I'm doing eyes that are a little bit more detailed, I use this because I can go slower and I can build up to opaqueness. Whereas something like this, she's small, she's quick, this is just fast. But I'll show you the difference. See how that's a softer white? So I might do that in those parts of the lips, maybe in there. Might add this on the eyes a bit. Also, and I don't like to put things to bed dirty. I like them to be clean. So I just clean that off. Otherwise I end up giving people moustaches that don't necessarily want them. Forgotten what I was going to do. Give her some little highlights on her cheeks. What was I going to do? There's something. Oh, I was going to add, just show you the white. And then this one is far more opaque. So I would put that as the highlight right in the middle. Whereas if I just did this for the whole lip, Then it looks lit with a bit of, it almost looks like a white line just plopped on it, and it can look a bit jarring. I might add a few little fine white lines with this. I could pick up stuff though in my thing like that. And the other thing I could use to add some white lines, although that's what this looks like. How cool does that was the clear one. But you just have to think in advance, that's all, if you're going to do something like that, because you can't do it after you've painted it. Well, you can, you get a totally different effect, and I'll show you that in a sec. So I can add some of the white crayon. It just has a different look. It's not as stark, that's all. Isn't that fun? Anyway, I've had fun. So I think I might stop now. I've got to do videos today for my Journal de Voyage workshop. And I'm also working on my books that have coming out from Amazon that have already gone number 1. I haven't even finished them yet. Which is great. So if you want to have a look for those books, they're on Amazon. If you type in Jane Davenport under books, the pre-ordered books will come up. Okay, so that's those, and I did want to show you, this is before I came on camera. I was just playing around here. So this is one of the inks. I'll do a live video about those in the coming week. This is they are a creative juice. This is the Incredible Inks here, and I've put the clear blender, and then I put watercolor over the top, and that's how I get these resist effect. It is nice. Would be nice if the blender was separate. Well, hopefully it is, but all of these things depend on whether they're popular enough as a set. And then after that, if they're popular enough as a set, that's when we get to look at little extras like that. But all of these you can use as resist, because they all resist. That's what I did here. So I hope that you had fun, and thank you for joining me. And if you've got questions, please ask them below. If you want to subscribe, do that. And I've got a mixed media group on Facebook. You're very welcome to come and join if you want to see more Jane stuff and share your work. And I'll see you in there. I spend a lot of time in there because it's a really awesome group. And hopefully you join me next time. I might actually, it feels weird to say goodbye without actually saying goodbye. That's my little setup. Just here, I've got my little boxes with all my stuff just there. And just swing the camera around. Ah! Okay. Thank you for joining me, and I shall see you